Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. And today I have had the opportunity to get back out here under the stars at the farm, and I am so thrilled to be back here again. I mean, everyone's in lockdown and the travel is very difficult. I've been out here doing some work, so it's good that I'm allowed to be here, and there's no one for absolutely miles around. I haven't seen anybody. Few sheep in the paddock, that's about it. So it's a time to shoot some Milky Way, and I'm here because I want to shoot 3 compositions that I've never shot before, and I just want to casually enjoy myself out here under the stars. I mean, there's so much stress and all sorts of things happening in the world, but you know, some of the basic things that bring us simple enjoyment, that's what it's all about, and that's what we're going to get tonight. So let's go and have a look. The first thing is this little shed behind me here, so we're going to have a look at that right now. Wow, this is fantastic. You know, one of the things I love about structures like this is the rustic old timber. Look at this, oh, I don't know how old it is, but it's great big sleepers, like as if they've been on the railway tracks or something. And they're just so rugged. And I love that. You know, when you put some light on those, you can see all the ripples and all of the knots and the holes in the timber. And there's some old wire, typical of farms. There's some blue hay band. I don't know if you can see it there. Blue hay band, which is not something I'm particularly fond of. But hey, it's not my farm, so I can't move that. But nevertheless, I'm going to shoot this. And the Milky Way core is coming up right down there, directly over the top of this little old shed. Now, I don't know, it's a machinery shed of some sort. In itself, it's not all that attractive, but you know, my motto is that anything can be made to look good under the light of the Milky Way with just a little bit of creative light painting. And so that's what I intend to do tonight. So this is how I'm going to go about shooting this. It's a pretty simple shot, to be honest. There's a nice open horizon down there. And so what I'm going to do is do a stack. Now, I've been doing a lot of stacking for noise reduction. Now, if you've been following my channel, you would already know that. So I'll be stacking for noise reduction, I think 10 shots. I'm going to shoot with my new 20mm f1.8S Nikon lens on the Z6. And I'm not sure, I might shoot it wide open at f1.8, or I might stop it down a bit, I'm not sure. I'll just work that out in a minute. And then I'll probably do 2 or 3 shots for light painting. It doesn't need a lot because it's a fairly simple structure. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. And after that, I've got 2 more interesting compositions here, which I'll show you in a minute. But firstly, let's get onto this one. So what I've decided to do is stop the lens down to f2. This is the 20mm f1.8S lens on the Z6. So I'm going to stop it down to f2, shoot at 10-second shutter speeds at ISO 6400. Stack 10 together, then I'll do some light painting. So I want to get into that and we'll see how we go. Now, before I took those 10 shots, I just did one image just to get a bit of a look and see what my composition would look like. There it is. You can see the shed there, just roughly light painted. But the main thing was to make sure I was getting that Milky Way core, and that looks pretty good to me. Focus is great. This lens is really good. I've discovered that the focus on this is a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. So pretty happy with that. Now, what I'm going to do is do the light painting separately. But as far as the exposures for the sky, there they are. And you can see there's 10 of them. And the exposures go like this, 10 seconds, f2, ISO 6400. Now look at the histogram. It's pushed over to the left-hand side because it's dark. There's a lot of darkness. See all that darkness in the bottom here? That's never going to show on the right-hand side. And the sky's just not quite bright enough to get that to show either. But this is what you get. Now I set my white balance here to 4000 Kelvin, you can see there, for these 10 shots. And now I'm going to get on to the light painting. Oh yeah, yeah, really good. Okay, so what I did, I took 5 or 6 shots here, lit from different angles with my standard light painting procedure. I stopped down the lens to f5, shot at ISO 500 for about 10 seconds, and that's gonna look fantastic once I blend it in with that gorgeous Milky Way. Now I want you to have a look behind me at this gorgeous little tree. You might be surprised to hear that I've never actually photographed this before, even though I've been out to this farm on countless occasions. It's a very low down, scraggly, pretty untidy looking tree. But you know, again, my motto is that I want to make anything that looks ugly and ungainly absolutely beautiful under the light of the stars. So that's my challenge for tonight. But if you have a look at it, you can see there's branches all over the place. I don't know if you can see past me there, but yeah, it's got these sticks, I guess you'd call them. And the thing is, what makes this a bit tricky actually is the fact that it's very low to the ground. So that means I'm going to have to get my camera and tripod right down to the ground. Now, you might ask, well, why do I have to do that? The reason is because the Milky Way is going to come up right over the top of this tree. But the problem is there's a horizon line down there. Now I always want to get my horizon line quite low down in my shot. I want to emphasize the foreground. Now, because it's so low to the ground already, I've just got to get my camera right down, because the more that I can build that up and perhaps maybe just get something underneath the tree, that's my goal. So let's have a go. I'm going to stack this for noise reduction. So the settings will be exactly the same as what I shot the old shed up there with. That's my plan. Probably 3 or 4 light painted shots on the actual branches of the tree. We'll see how it comes up. Okay, so what you can see there, I've taken a single shot just to get my bearings on where the composition should be. Nice slow down horizon. Milky Way looks absolutely fantastic. And actually, for a single shot, this is not too bad. I actually don't mind it. But after that, I did 10 shots of the sky just to do the stacking. And you can see them here, exactly the same composition. So it was 10 seconds at f2, ISO 6400. After that, what we did was some light painting on the tree. And there's, let me see, where are they? There we go. Not very bright, they're subtle. The idea of that is to get subtle branches, and I reckon they're going to look fantastic. Well, as you can see, this is my third composition for the night, this beautiful old wool shed. And this is quite a large expanse. There's fences down this side. There's another old silo around the other side, which is just absolutely awesome. So this is going to take a fair bit of light painting, but the Milky Way is up there straight above it, and I think it's going to come up so well. This is a fairly big, wide, expansive shot, so focus won't be an issue because everything's going to be a fair way from the camera. but I'm just going to have a bit of a scout around and have a look at it. But I think this one will look okay. Let's go and have a look. Oh, I love this stuff. So as you can see, I love this really fine detail. This old Castrol drum here, I'll be making sure I light that up. Whether we can see it from way over there where I'm going to put the camera, I don't know. But I love the ironwork here, and there's old timber laying around, bit of grass. This is going to be awesome. Okay, now it's not very often I get my camera right up high at pretty much at head height, but for this shot I can do that because the ground slopes off down the hill, so I can get my camera up a little bit higher and still get that perspective up into the night sky. So I'm going to be shooting this pretty much exactly the same as what I've done for the other shots tonight. I'm on a roll, I'm happy with the results I'm getting, so I'm going to leave the sky shots at f2, 10-second shutter speed. I'm going to stack 10 shots, I think, for noise reduction in Sequator software, ISO 6400. I'm going to do a number of light painted shots around the building. It's quite wide, so there's going to be quite a few, and they'll be at ISO 500, f5, stop it down to f5, and probably 10 or 15-second shutter speeds as well. Now the other thing I might do with this shot, because there's a fair bit of trees and ambient stuff around here, I think I'll do one quite long exposure just to get an ambient image of the foreground. Don't know how that's going to come out, but I can only give it a go. And the idea and the methodology there is to blend that one in with the foreground light painted shots and also with the background Milky Way stacked, and I'm hoping that has a very vibrant and yet somehow realistic look about it. So let's get into it. Now the first thing you can see here, this is a test exposure I took, and it's actually not a bad shot just for a test. Just to get my composition the way I wanted, to check my focus. So my focus is good, those stars look fantastic. And to make sure I've got the foreground elements the way I want them. This shot, by the way, was shot at f2, ISO 6400, 15-second shutter speed, 4000 Kelvin. You'll notice when I shoot single exposures, I tend to extend the shutter speed a little bit, but if I'm stacking for noise reduction, I'll shorten the shutter speed because I want to get those images as close together as possible. Now, one thing that I didn't like about this test was there's too much over here and not enough on this left-hand side. So when I took the stacked exposures, I moved the camera slightly. Now, the thing I like about this is I've got the Milky Way here on the third side of the frame and the shed down here on the other third, so they intersect at this point. Also, there's a nice gap between where that tree is. So these are shot 10-second shutter speed, f2, 6400 ISO, and there's 10 of those. Then I decided to do my light painting. You can see these shots. These are 15 seconds at f5, ISO 500, 4000 Kelvin. And you can see when we zoom in, you can see the elements. There's the old tank over there, the grain silo. Yeah, so you can see these images here as we go through. There's one here where I painted the inside, there it is, light painted the inside with, well, basically it's a Z96 video light inside the barn, and it's just on a low level, so that's classic low level lighting. Moving on, a few other bits and pieces, and then we move to this shot, which is the long exposure image I was talking to you about before. So this is about a minute and a half, ISO 2500 at f2.8, and that gives you can see there the stars are definitely trailing, but if you go down to the foreground you can actually see some detail, and that's why I took this shot, because sometimes when you light paint a foreground there's gaps, and this is a good way of filling in those gaps. Just a really low level of light, ambient light. I like it. I think it's really, really good. So I'm going to be really interested in how this one comes out. Well, there you go. All in all, I think we've had an absolutely brilliant night here on the farm under the stars. No one for miles around. That's the way I like it. It's calm. It's beautiful. In fact, the moon has risen behind. I've been here for a fair while and I'm getting pretty tired and hungry. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get into the back of that car and I'm going to have something to eat, cup of tea, a biscuit, I don't know, whatever I can find. I don't think I've got any rum balls, unfortunately, but never mind, that'll come another day. So thanks so much for joining me out here once again. I really do appreciate the fact that you do come along on these journeys with me, and I appreciate all the comments that you might want to put down below this video. Always welcome those, and I'm happy to answer them as much as I possibly can. So until I see you guys next time under the stars, you have a fantastic week and I'll see you later.